Hello, I hope everyone is doing well. I just want to make a quick video real quick to talk about HR recruiters and also about employment gaps. Okay, so HR recruiters. Basically, most organizations have HR recruiters to help recruit or fill in those vacancies that a corporation or department actually has always vacant. Meaning that if there's a certain position within that company or organization that's always vacant, like a revolving door where people are basically quitting on a constant basis, they use HR recruiters to try to fill in those vacancies. Now, the issue is right now, is HR recruiting a good thing or a bad thing? It's a good thing because they allow to bring forth candidates that are actually well qualified for those positions to the hiring manager. The only issue is whether or not that person gets, the candidate actually gets further along to actually get interviewed for the position by the hiring manager. So the recruiter is basically the middleman between the candidate and the hiring manager. So that means that most of the time the HR recruiter is not making a decision whether or not you actually get hired for the position. They're just kind of like your advocate per se to actually allow the hiring manager to actually consider you for that position. Now, some HR recruiters are actually able to speak to the hiring manager on your behalf regarding the position, whether or not you're a good fit. So they kind of help that hiring manager make the determination to continue on the process with you. The only thing is some organizations have it where it's very passive. The HR recruiter just go ahead and turn in your application on your behalf or put it into the application tracking system, and then maybe or maybe not, the hiring manager actually receive your application. So also those those HR recruiters that actually talk to the hiring managers, usually sometimes if they're seriously thinking about you being a good candidate for the position, they may have the HR recruiter actually contact you and do a pre-interview, meaning they're calling just to ask some questions regarding anything that will actually make you an exceptional fit for the position, and so they can actually give them some more information about yourself to be a more valuable candidate for the position. So they may be, one of the people that they can actually outreach for an interview with the hiring manager. They're not actually are the ones that's going to do the interview. Now, the reason why I say that is because a lot of HR recruiters have no idea what the day-to-day life is of that position. All they know is what the job description is. They may not know what systems you're using. They may not know how the interaction between the customers and the candidate will be. They may not know how long it's going to take for training, what career development may be offered for that position itself. But they may be able to answer that question if a lot of their career development is handled by the training and development team. They may be able to answer that, but actually developing for that actual position itself, they may not be able to answer that question. So some people actually go the route of reviewing who the HR recruiters are through LinkedIn, which is not a bad idea to do. Sometimes if there are any type of in-person hiring events or job fairs, that's a good idea too. A lot of HR recruiters are there for multiple organizations are there for you to actually talk to. So it just depends on how you want to do it. So just keep in mind, HR recruiters are there to help the company to eliminate the vacancies that they have a highest turnaround rate for. Now, if you're proactive or, anything of that nature, definitely research and figure out what is the job description, what are the qualifications of those positions itself, and try to see how often you see that turnaround going on. Now, it can be a high turnover rate because a lot of people are retiring at the same time. That's not a bad reason for that based on retention. But if it's always a constant thing where you're seeing like every week or once a month that they're always constantly looking for people for those particular positions in the company, you might need to ask a little bit more questions of the HR recruiter just to figure out exactly what is going on and what's causing that high turnover rate. Now, if you're a person where you're like, okay, I just need a job and I'll just make the best of it, that's fine too. Nothing wrong with that. So just ensure that you're aware and that you're committed to develop in that role. especially if you're chosen to move on into the hiring process. But just keep in mind, the recruiter may not be the one interviewing you for the position. They may just contact you to get more information to give to the hiring manager to see that you're a good qualified candidate, okay? All right, so that's it regarding HR recruitment. So if you have any other questions or you need a career coach, definitely send me an email. Employment gaps. Employment gaps is not really a red flag. Now, it's understandable if you have like maybe between a month or 6 months of an employment gap, because sometimes it takes relatively long to actually start getting the job that you actually qualify for to get hired. Or sometimes it may take longer. Now, if it takes longer than 6 months, you really need to have a game plan. So that could be either volunteering, it could be developing skills, whether it's going to workforce solutions, developing and fine-tuning your interviewing skills, your time management skills, any type of computer skills, any type of communication skills. Do something that's free, that is intentional for you to develop into to get those skills that you need to move on to the next job, especially if you have an employment gap. Now, if it's more than a year, just keep in mind, be willing to be open and honest, and also approach it in a way that is suitable for you. So, for example, if you lost your job, okay, and now you're making sure your household is taken care of, whether that's make sure your children's taken care of, you may be taking care of elderly parents, whatever it is, okay? When you're interviewed and they ask about the employment gap, even if it's the HR recruiter asking me about, you can easily say, I need to take out the time to be effective and productive and intentional regarding my household, and make sure my household was taken care of before moving on into a different career. Now, that, yes, it's vague, it's honest because it's the truth, and they don't know if your household consists of just yourself, if it consists of anyone else in your household, such as children, parents, pets, anything. It's okay to say that because they do not need to know your business, your personal business, meaning that they do not need to know anything that about you to hold it against you. Okay, especially when it comes to women who are of childbearing ages. They really don't need to know. So, yeah, so employment gaps are not, they say, a big deal, but be willing to address it and approach it the way that you can be honest, but vague, because you don't want any information that can be used against you in the interview that may not make you seem like a suitable candidate for that position. Okay, because of course, life happens, because some people will argue, okay, COVID, a lot of people were laid off. Yes, but everyone was not laid off during COVID. We had people that went back to school, that ended up learning trades, they ended up getting certifications, they end up finding different opportunities elsewhere, whether it's volunteering or anything locally. So those who were laid off during COVID, during that time, they were doing what they need to do to make the best of that time. But at the same time, you have to understand that to any employer or any business, as long as you're using your time well to develop more skills, more knowledge, more abilities, it will make you a suitable candidate for a position, whether you're planning on being there for the long haul, to be promoted, or even if you want to branch out and do something different. So just keep in mind that nowadays, the way the workplace is operating, time management and the intentionality of your time is more important than ever. It really is. So even when you're not working, you have to make the most of your time. It will behoove you to make the most of your time. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to, but this is just the advice of a career coach. Make the most of your time, whether that is volunteering, whether that's going to school, developing different skills, different abilities, even if you needed time just to know yourself and self-reflect. I just took the time out to make sure that everything was in order for myself before seeking out other opportunities. There's nothing wrong with that either. So yeah, so just make the most of your time, because now it's a lot of people are still being laid off. There was a massive layoff going on in Tesla area that just happened recently. So there's still massive layoffs going on in the technology field, because technology is changing, is developing new features on different applications programs. So yeah, so this is just a precursor to as to what's going on in the future. And right now with the workforce and the workplace right now, you have to understand your time is valuable. Be intentional with your time in order for you to be able to do whatever it is that you would like to do, whatever role or position you would like to have in, and also to progress in the future too. So yeah, so good luck out there. Just remember, HR recruiters, they're just trying to make sure that you're the best candidate, that put it in the face of the HR manager. If the HR manager is interested in you, they may do a pre-interview with you just to get some explanations regarding the information on your application and also on your resume. But they may not necessarily be the person that's going to do the interview for you to get the job. And also to just make sure that you have a game plan, a strategy on how to address any employment gaps that may be showing on your resume, okay? So they can ask you. Believe me, and sometimes some may not. And remember, your resume needs to show at least 5 to 10 years of experience. So if there's no gaps or it shows that you was going to school during that time period, you really don't have to explain too much. If they mention it, that means they didn't really look at your resume. And some people may have that as a red flag for them. Some may not be. So yeah, just do what's best for you and just, develop your skills, your knowledge, your abilities, your talents. Develop and make use of your time. So I wish you best of luck out there. Believe me, there's still jobs available. There's jobs, state, local government, the school districts, federal. There are jobs out there. But just understand that. Make sure you read and research the companies and what the jobs entail so that you can go ahead and be the best employee that you can. All right. Take care.